A well-behaved woman is trim and proper. Chores always done, not a hair out of place. When the husband comes home, she greets him with a smile.
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
Are you tired of Hitler?
Have you no shame?
Okay, one liar as a kid can find another liar.
I want that stricken from the record.
How else is she gonna learn if she doesn't have a setup?
I can fall fuck in the big house.
You're a mess, girl.
I am here to audition for Babysitters Club extras. I brought my own hammer.
Welcome to another episode of Well-Behaved Women. I'm one of your hosts, Hannah, and I'm here with our host, Lauren.
Howdy doody.
Howdy doody to you, ma'am.
Duties.
Duties, because we're mature women here, and we're well-behaved.
Yes,
quote
this
unquote.
is well-behaved women, so...
Yes. Each
We
week,
gotta.
Lauren takes us down the road of a tale of another woman from history, a notable woman. And this week, I don't know who she is. Well, every week I don't know who she is, but this week we're beginning a new episode.
Well, we can give a little bit of a spoiler. We recorded part one a few weeks ago, but it has been a very long time, and we've both had a lot of things going on since and have forgotten most of it.
Oh my God.
We're just going to go ahead and record it again.
Yes, with the good mics. The Zoom technical issues were getting bad.
It was a mess. I'm sure everyone was wondering what the fuck was going on with their sound for the Ruth Bader Ginsburg episodes.
Yeah, it was really bad.
There were a lot of changes going on in the month of March and April. It was
and then somebody at my office. We all got sick.
All right, do we want to do an episode and talk about other people's problems now? Do you want to give me an on this year?
On this year in history.
It was a leap year.
It was an even numbered year. Try to remember that, Hannah. Short-term memory. Lock it in.
The last time we did this, even when you did plug in your guess, it was an odd year, and I thought that was so funny.
I know. I don't know. I wish I could.
It was really funny. I was like, are you kidding me?
I know. I wish I could go back and just go
So I'm going
look
to
at
say
you.
it again. It was a leap year.
Leapy year.
All right. The British authorities in India arrested and interned Mahatma Gandhi and Vallabhbhai Patel. I'm sorry, I fucked that name up.
You're doing the best you can. I believe in you.
Junosuke Inoue, prominent Japanese businessman, banker, and former governor of the Bank of Japan, is assassinated by the right-wing extremist group, the League of Blood.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the League of Blood. What a name.
Charles Lindbergh Jr., the infant son of Anne Morrow Lindbergh and Charles Lindbergh, is kidnapped from the family home near Hopewell, New Jersey.
Lindbergh baby mystery.
Yep.
So many jokes have been made about the Lindbergh baby on Family Guy, specifically.
And then Paul von Hindenburg is reelected as Reichspräsident, defeating Hitler.
See, I just think the Hindenburg
disaster?
Yeah. Oh, the humanity. All right, it's a leap year, even number. Do we have any more information?
That's all
that was
you
all.
get.
Okay. 1938. I'm over. Okay. How far over did I go?
6 years.
Oh, shoot. 1932.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, damn.
March 4th, 1932.
I don't know my leap years, man.
Okay, it's been a little bit since we've recorded this.
Right.
I am really going to try, but I am going to just give an up-top apology to everyone. I am going to butcher this.
That's okay.
I am going to butcher so many of these words, but I am trying.
Okay.
Okay.
It's all right. I will comfort you in your times of need.
All right. Caswell Makeba was a Xhosa-speaking teacher in the township of Prospect, South Africa.
Dude, that click was solid. I am impressed. And it just flowed right into the word. Good job.
That's what you're supposed to do, and I practiced so hard on it.
You did a great
Anyway, it was near, but it wasn't inside Johannesburg.
Okay.
He met his wife Christina, and shortly after he met his wife Christina after she had separated from her first husband.
Okay. So she was, how shortly, do we know?
Very shortly.
Like within a year?
Probably within a year.
All right, girl.
She was Swazi, and she was a domestic worker and a maid.
Okay.
She had 5 children already with her first husband.
Ooh.
5.
Woo! No
And-
wonder she was like, yeah, within a year, I need help with 5 kids to feed.
Yeah.
This is like,
This is a lot.
this is a lot. I
a
cannot
lot.
imagine just being like, all right, kids, we're just out here alone in the world.
Yeah, she was not supposed to have any more kids. Like, she had those 5.
Right, that was a solid round
She
number.
had a lot of kids to feed.
Yeah.
But also her body had paid the price. They said, if you have another kid, it could kill you.
Oh, God. And that's when you lock up shop.
So what happened?
Let me guess, she got pregnant again.
She got pregnant.
Oh, look at that. When the doctor says no, but your husband says yes. Back in those days.
My doc's telling me no, but my husband's telling me yes. Yep.
Now, I mean, was it an accident or was he pushing? Is my guess.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I think
we
it was
don't
probably
know.
they were fucking and they didn't really have access to safe.
Okay, so
contraceptives.
it just happened. Heat of the moment.
So they get pregnant. It was a difficult pregnancy.
No, girl.
Duh. So during the birth and during the recovery period, very shortly after, Christina's mother often would say "uzenzile," which is a Xhosa speaking word meaning "you brought this on yourself."
Girl, your practice is paying off.
Anyway, it says you brought this on yourself. So Christina, being the probably like in recovery hormonal person that she was, she thought it was a pretty cute name, so she named her 6th and final child Zenzile Miriam Makeba.
And Zenzile it's you brought it on yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hi, mistake.
The family
How
was,
you doing?
Oh yeah, no, it gets worse.
We didn't want this.
It gets worse. They were super poor. They had been very impoverished already before Zenzile showed up. Caswell, he was a musician. He played the piano. He sang in a group called the Mississippi 12, but it was a really small group that never made it big.
Oh. Yeah, my husband and his band.
Yes, literally, my husband and his band. And in order to make a little cash, Christina made a homebrewed beer called,
Ooh, yeah.
I am sorry, called Umkomboti.
I'm so impressed.
From malt and cornmeal. This was illegal. Women specifically were forbidden from brewing at home because the government wanted men to buy state beer. They were like, we need our taxes to go to our beer, and all of your monies are come to us.
I was about to say misogyny, and then it's kind of like, well,
Governmental misogyny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
So-
even really misogyny. The government
Just
just
government.
wanted, it was government
It was just
control,
government.
government greed.
And we'll get into that because, reminder, they
Yeah.
were from South Africa
Yeah.
and they were tribal.
Oh, yeah. Also that.
I'm going to,
That had probably
little forewarning. Do. Like, just.
wait. Is that the Twilight?
That is, I shouldn't have done that one. It's the wrong.
Oh, whatever.
What's a good forewarning little tune like do.
Da-na,
There it is.
da-na.
the Jaws
I think it's
theme.
old enough they won't come
The
after
Jaws
us.
theme is
yeah.
definitely there.
Da-na, 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 da-na.
Totally. So make that noise in your head because when Zenzile was 18 days old, Christina got caught and arrested for brewing beer at home.
Da-na, 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 da-na.
And both Christina and Zenzile spent the next 6 months in prison.
Wait,
6 months.
they arrested a kid?
They put her in prison with her. So basically, Christina was fined, and they weren't rich enough
Yeah,
to
they
pay
couldn't
the
pay.
fine.
So they're like, all right, you broke bitch.
You broke bitch. You and your baby, you come in and live with us.
Why
for
is the
about
baby involved?
Well, because the baby was still attached to the tit.
Oh,
like she
fuck.
It wasn't like she could just pass her off to, someone else.
Oh. What if there's another pregnant lady in the neighborhood
I don't
that she's
know.
friends with? You have
But
to really
that
be
still
friends.
would have been weird.
That's
Like,
weird, yeah. I'm thinking too practically and not emotionally at all. I'm just trying to solve your problems. I'm not listening to you.
You aren't listening. I just want you to hear me, Hannah.
Yeah, I know.
Hear my problems.
I'm
Don't
sorry.
fix them.
All right, my bad.
Caswell, in this time, he was solely responsible for the other 5 kids that Christina had.
Oh, wow.
So basically, all the kids that weren't his were now his problem, and the one kid that was his was in prison with his wife.
So how did he handle that?
He upped his game.
Good man.
He got a job with Shell Oil, and when his...
Well...
I mean, at that point, you got to get the job that you can get.
Right.
So he got a job with Shell Oil, and when his wife and daughter were released from jail, the family moved to Nelspruit, which is now Mbombela.
Okay.
Mbombela. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. But for a few years, for a few very short and precious years, as we hear all the time on this show, for a few years, life was good.
Yeah.
And then Caswell died.
Yeah. How?
I don't know.
You don't know?
He died. It was a Shell Oil thing, so probably in an oil accident. I don't fucking know.
An oil accident?
I don't know. It just says he died.
Okay. But I imagine it had to be like, dangerous machinery?
Yeah, there were probably very few safety precautions. He was also a black Xhosa-speaking man in South Africa.
Nobody even mentioned it. There was probably no paperwork.
I think the paperwork was just he died. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answer.
That's true. It was also the 30s.
Yeah. Basically, this meant that Christina now had to support 6 children in South Africa in the late 1930s.
Damn. So she's back at square zero with another kid.
Square fucking zero with another kid. So they moved back west. Because they had moved over to where he had worked. So they moved back to another place that was near Johannesburg, which is called Pretoria.
Oh, I've heard of Pretoria.
Yeah, so they're just right next to each other. The mom went to work for a nanny as a nanny for a white family in Johannesburg, and Christina's mother raised the children.
Okay.
As a young girl, Zenzile, who went by Miriam at that point.
Yeah, well, you don't want to go around going, hi, it's my own fault.
It's my own damn fault.
I wouldn't want to do that.
It's my own damn fault, Makeba.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Fuck me. My name's Moses. Like, it would be like that. Yes. So I don't blame her for going, you know what? Let's go by my middle name.
I deserve this.
I'm a dipshit. Hi.
Anyway, so Miriam, she went to an all-black Methodist school, and she joined the choir there.
Okay.
And once her group even got together to sing for King George VI.
Yay!
Yay!
King Daddy on the crown.
King Daddy on the crown was supposed to be coming on through, and these kids sat in the choir, they sat around for hours and hours and hours, and in the end, George didn't even show up.
Damn. Daddy?
King Daddy was a dick.
Daddy, where'd you go?
He had better things to do with
I guess.
his royal
He ran out of cigarettes.
Something like that. But they were still singing, and they were still performing for the locals, and someone else noticed her talents, and basically she started to get encouraged to continue honing those singing skills, because she had a lot of raw talent.
He saw the potential.
Yes. Her older brothers already had records of Ella, Duke, all these jazz legends.
News bulletin.
Elsewhere in the South African music scene. I don't know why I said it.
That's all right. You were trying to be newsy.
Newsy. So if you haven't already put the pieces together, we're going to talk about a black woman who was in apartheid South Africa.
Yep.
So this is going to be the first of 2 dots, with the second one it's focusing more on apartheid. So we're going to get into the rough shit. But right now we're going to talk about music.
Musica.
Music. So back during the Civil War in the U.S., one of the major trading routes went through Cape Town. This was really significant in sea warfare because the Confederacy used this limited area to sabotage Union shipments and sink their ships.
Okay. Strategic.
They're
Devastating.
You got just a little bit of space there. It makes it easier for them to have a little pinch point or
Got
whatever.
it.
Bottleneck for sure. And no Confederate ship was better at this than the Alabama, which ported in Cape Town every so often.
You know, don't trust a place that makes white barbecue sauce. It's Alabama white sauce.
What the fuck is
have
that?
you never seen this?
I mean, I've heard of white sauce, but I don't know what it's made of.
Well, typically when I hear someone say a white sauce, it's like either like a garlicky cream sauce for a pizza.
Like an aioli?
No.
Or like an Alfredo?
Kind of more like an Alfredo. But this Alabama white sauce, I've never tried it because I can't get over the fact that it's being marketed as a barbecue sauce. Let me see what's in it.
Okay. Well, we're getting distracted anyway.
I know.
So the Confederate ship, the Alabama, would come into Cape Town every so often. And when that happened, there was just party after party after party. These guys knew how to get down.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Because the Confederate ship had enslaved people who served white commanders on the ships.
Aha.
And they brought with them...
They knew the good stuff.
They brought with them the music of their enslaved culture, including a lot of folk songs from the South.
All right.
So very specifically Southern, like blues and jazz.
Excellent.
Came down.
Good. That's the good music.
It is fucking good.
I love blues. I love jazz.
There's a reason I've been blues dancing for over a decade. I love it. It's so much fun. The music is great. Anyway, so this very specific line to Southern music developed, and as jazz was getting big in the U.S., it was also getting big in South Africa.
Aha.
Today, South Africa has a huge jazz scene, and like most good music, it developed from the original straight jazz and grew into something else as locals took the music and added and combined it with tribal music of their people.
Mm-hmm.
So Miriam, who is multilingual already, she really, really leaned into those vocal talents, and she continued to sing for years. She was eventually baptized as a Protestant, and she sang in English, Xhosa, Sotho, and Zulu.
Woo! You are just smooth with those. I'm sorry. I'm going to hype you up because I'm still so impressed. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I'll stop.
Okay.
Because I keep stopping the conversation.
This was how she learned the English language, too.
That's amazing.
She learned it through song. I have a coworker who does this. Her name is Yang. She does, like, water exercise and stuff, and she came here from South Korea, and she learned because she listened to Elvis songs.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. See, I listen to songs in other languages, and I hear them all the time, but I have not gotten any closer to learning that language. How they do that is fascinating.
I mean, English is boring, too, so... It's a fairly boring language.
Really?
We have
the word squeegee.
Rescinded. I take it back.
All because of the word
I take
squeegee.
it back.
I'm just telling you, it's a fun fucking word. When somebody from another language learns what squeegee is, it probably makes them giggle.
Is it like Danish or Dutch or something that's like nuking in the kuchen is like fucking in the kitchen?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, God.
But yeah, like when you come across those German words.
Those languages are really funny to me.
They're when you have a language that's such a different sound, but yeah, with squeegee.
So when Miriam got old enough, it was time to put her to work.
Mm-hmm.
She had to start making her own money.
What's the age of old enough in this time?
Probably like 14 or 15.
I was gonna say, how young?
She went down to Johannesburg and she got a job with a Greek family.
Okay.
As a live-in nanny.
Yep. She knows how to do that.
This worked out for about 3 months.
Okay.
And then the mother stopped paying Miriam.
Oh, I wonder why.
And then worse, the mother called the police for theft that never actually happened.
Fuck.
Yeah. And
Dude,
this wasn't exactly an innocent.
then why did they? If they, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, well, why hire her in the first place? If you're racist against her, she must have done some small slight, and they were like, "Yep, she's a bitch.
Yeah.
Let's frame her."
Yeah.
God damn, racist piece of shit.
I mean, it wasn't an innocent until proven guilty type of society. It was, I can frame you for this, and basically, because of the color of your skin,
I will get away with it.
So she literally fled back home.
God, yeah.
She moved back in with her grandmother.
I'd never want to work again.
I wouldn't either if I knew that was what was coming. I went on a first date my very first date. I thought it was a terrible experience, and I came home at the end of the night, and I was like, I never want to go on another date again.
Yeah.
Things got better, but then also things got worse. Like, it was the worst date I'd ever had because it was the first date I'd ever had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I figured out what an actual bad date was and an actual good date was.
Yeah. You always think your first one's like the best or the worst until like you live your life and then you realize it was somewhere in the middle.
This was it was a socially awkward, like it was an appropriate story for a first date, Nothing untoward happened, but it also just wasn't a good experience.
Right.
And those are middle of the line experiences. It's not traumatic, but it's not like the most magical thing that's ever happened.
I've never had a most magical first date. I've had a fun first date.
I've had a couple of really nice ones. Like, have had a lot of thought put into them, or have like just gone really fucking well.
Yeah, I've had a couple that have gone really, really well. But nothing magical where I'm like, I feel like I'm connected to this person and they get me. Aw.
Anyway. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's probably, well, we don't have to get into it. We're talking about Miriam.
So Miriam goes back home. She moves in with her grandmother.
Bad
and around
job
the same
experience.
time, her mom, Christina, she decides to become a sangoma, which is a traditional healer.
Ah.
They do like ritual healing. They do songs and that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
And they got to go to like a big long training kind of thing. So she leaves Pretoria again, and she goes over to Swaziland to go through the training.
Oh, that's cool.
So Miriam is again, she gets left behind.
Okay, that part's not as cool.
But she got a job with another expatriate family as a laundress.
Uh-oh.
She works for them for a while.
Uh-oh.
It doesn't say that it ended badly, but it also doesn't
Doesn't say that she was like happy.
It was a job.
Yeah. Okay, well at least they didn't frame her, and hopefully they were cordial with her.
I mean, I would feel like it would have been noteworthy if they hadn't been at that point.
All right. I'm just keeping my eye on them.
So, at the age of 17, in 1949...
17.
Miriam married a policeman in training.
Uh-huh.
Named James Kubey.
Kubey.
As happens with cops.
He was racist?
No, he was also a black man. As
I
happens
didn't know
with
that.
cops.
He died?
No.
I am not getting what you're
He beat the fuck out of his wife.
Oh, fuck. Why did I immediately go to that? Oh, and this was Miriam at 17?
He beat the fuck out of Miriam, yes. And they had one daughter, Sibongile Makeba, which she was nicknamed Bongi.
Bongi. Bing bong. Bing bongy.
If you want to go and hear some of our
Patreon
extra content,
we're working on
there's
getting
a little
that up
plug
there
for Patreon. I don't think we have anybody yet, but
no,
it's,
not yet.
You know what? It's there.
It's there. It's there. The Chronicles of Bing Bong.
The Chronicles of Bing Bong. Oh my god.
Anyway. Are you good? All right, so Miriam.
She was also diagnosed with breast cancer.
No!
Yes.
On top of being
so she's
beat the
in this
fuck
shitty
up.
marriage. She gets pregnant, has a daughter. She gets diagnosed with breast cancer, and like any good husband, James split. He just took off. See ya.
Peace.
Fuck you and your tits.
This is too much work later. Oh, what a piece of shit.
So the couple, obviously, they got divorced. Miriam became an unmarried pregnant black woman in South Africa.
With
or an
a mouth
unmarried
to
new
feed.
mother in South
Just
Africa.
like now she knows a little bit about her mom at her age. He stretched and it was really cute. Yeah, his little toes went out. It was, we're talking about you, I know. Oh!
Special stretches.
That has to stay in the podcast. The peoples need to know that he was adorable.
He's gonna do a little thing. He's gonna.
If you want to see what Mims looks like, his name is Pippin. He is featured on our website in the About Me section with Lauren.
Definitely the pod dog. He's
Oh, good stretching,
he's
y'all.
gonna shake too. Look at his little ears. They're about to go flip, 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 flip.
Yes. Oh, you're so cute. Yes. Are you stationed over here now?
You give me his little gargoyle.
Oh,
good boy.
Sweet baby. Stinky baby.
Are you a stinky baby?
All babies are a little stinky.
You a little stinky boy?
Yeah. My parents, they got Kirby. He's our baby. He's stinky. He's a stinky boy.
You know who else is stinky? Little babies.
Little babies. And
Bungie
Miriam
was a
had a
stinky
stinky
little
little
girl.
baby.
Yes, and she had to raise that little girl alone with breast cancer.
Oh, God. That's in like the 30s or 40s technology. There's no... They
early
don't even...
50s. It was this. It's that
Early
it's that
50s?
like what Ava got.
Okay. Yeah, so you got like nothing to treat it.
Right.
You're just waiting.
It seems like she got this treated because we don't really hear about it after this one mention.
Yeah.
Like she had it and then it's gone. So she survived it, obviously. She went on, she continued singing with her groups, and she started to make a little bit of money.
All right. I don't know why you're standing right there. Do you like that I'm like rubbing you with my feet?
Yes, he loves that.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Elsewhere.
News Bulletin Part 2.
Yes, News Bulletin Part
Kids,
2.
come quick.
Elsewhere in racist history.
Aha. Yes, in racist history.
Oh, totally.
What happened?
So, I'm not sure if you're aware.
We'll see.
South Africa has a little bit of a problem with their history and maybe just might be a little bit racist.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. They weren't always that way.
Uh-huh.
A few hundred years ago even, the land was lush. The tribes and chiefdoms of African peoples traded and coexisted, and while things weren't perfect, they were fine.
Yeah.
They survived.
The
They were
tribes
doing-
worked amongst themselves. They dealt amongst their own
They
rules.
existed. Yeah, they coexisted. And then
the
the
white
the Dutch
people
East
came.
India Trading Company came to town.
Do not trust these white people.
Yep.
We cannot trust these white men.
They saw the gorgeous place that is South Africa,
It is stunning.
and they put a port there,
No.
and they expanded inland.
Uh-uh.
The whole time shipping humans and goods around the world.
We were just talking about cancer, and here we are talking about a different type of cancer.
It is totally a different type of cancer. And it wasn't long before the whites were running things and pushing the native peoples into the margins.
Yeah, they thought they just had, like, a God-given right to do shit.
Yeah.
Literally, they thought God said the white man can tell everybody else what to do.
They started pushing all of these native people into the margins. During the Napoleonic Wars, the British captured and annexed the Dutch Cape Colony, so it became British land.
Oh.
If I'm missing shit, guys, please don't at me.
Fill
Like,
in
this is a
some-
very basic Reader's Digest
Of a very complicated
of a very
history.
complicated issue,
Yeah. It's like me trying to explain how all the conflict in the Middle East started. Is like, where do you even start?
Oh my God.
I've tried looking into it. It's like like 5 very thin necklaces that were all stuck in your pocket for like 2 years.
It's that Charlie Kelly like web of Pepe Silvio.
Exactly.
But except that like there are all of these things actually are real.
Yeah,
And, like,
I know.
There is a magic. This is conspiracy theory, like capital T, capital capital C, capital T.
Yeah.
This is actual conspiracy shit. Anyway, so the British captured and annexed the colony. It became British land, and eventually the British got some of their act together,
Yeah.
and they had this whole like abolition of slavery thing in the 1800s. It was time.
Yeah.
It was time.
Was it time?
It was time. We just decided, and we had a talk, and we just decided it's time. It's time.
Mm-hmm.
It's time.
And you're sure it's over?
Yeah, okay, well, we're probably going to make some changes to make sure that, like, nobody's livelihood is affected by this, so it's time, but, like, we're going to ease people into it.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to wean them off?
And in South Africa, that really kind of pissed people off. That wasn't jiving with the whole slave-holding values of the South African white people,
Yeah, they're not just going to hand that back over.
Who would labor for them for nothing and then die for the privilege?
They're kids.
No. Because
That's
those
what
are
America
white people.
eventually moved on to.
Because those are white people. Because
You're just going to have to get over that.
But South Africa really didn't get over it.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
They decided instead that they'd just build the racism into the very fabric of the fucking nation. And I mean that quite literally.
Well, because they took it by racist, violent means.
Right.
And so that's what they know.
So this is going to be quite a dense list.
Okay.
I want you to keep track.
I'll do my best.
All right. Beginning with the displacement of the Khoi people and the subsequent war, we have pass laws. We have the Hottentot Proclamation. Both of these stated that African natives needed a pass of some sort from their master to be allowed to walk about freely away from said masters.
They gotta have their papers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
The Slavery Abolition Act of 1833. This one was supposed to be good. South Africa added legislation to their government that allowed all the slaves to become indentured servants.
But they're still not getting paid.
But then eventually they get their freedom, So we're not going to have them forever, just for a few years, and then they get their freedom, right?
It's not human rights. Human rights.
South Africa's not about that because Ordinance 1 was signed in 1835.
Okay.
And then Ordinance 3 was an indentured program for just Xhosa people that was basically slavery. And then the Franchise and Ballot Act of 1892, that raised the question of the landowner voter status. Then there was the Glenn Gray Act 2 years later. That limited the amount of land a black person was allowed to own. Are you depressed yet?
I mean, yeah, but I'm hanging in there.
The Natal Legislative Assembly Bill deprived Indians of the right to vote.
Indigenous.
Okay, so I'll take a moment because we're going to hear it a lot. So there are essentially three classes of human. There's whites, obviously. There's the non-whites, Indians, people of color that weren't black.
Oh, that's right.
And then there were the colored people, which was a way of saying black Africans.
I forgot.
For some fucking reason, though, I will not. I do not take responsibility for this. There's a lot of interchangeability between Indians and colored in the language that I was reading when I was doing this episode. So I am trying to be as respectful and as true to the language of the time as I am. Yeah, as I can, but also recognize that this is a terrible terminology for what we're talking about, okay?
Loaded. It's a very loaded.
It's really bad
word with a lot of history here in the States.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that we know we're acknowledging it, but we're talking about it in terms of this is how it was discussed.
Right.
When this happened. All right, so then we have the ninth one was the Treaty of Vereeniging, which happened as a result of Boers trying to rise up and take their land back. So natives tried to take their lands back. And then they were systematically beaten and murdered for it.
God. Huge retaliation.
Yeah, so this treaty demanded, quote, the just predominance of the white race.
Ew. Ew, okay. God damn. So they're just throwing it right out there.
Then we have the General Pass Regulations Act that limited where pass holders could gain entry. So it wasn't just to walk away from their white masters. It was then, now you can't even be allowed entry into some of these places.
God.
And then the Asiatic Registration Act that required Indians to have passes.
More papers.
More papers. All right. So when the Union of South Africa... so that's 11 right there.
Yeah, that was a lot.
When the Union of South Africa broke away from the Brits, they, quote, enfranchised white people and literally gave them rule of the place. Basically, they said, whites are the people that are going to be in charge.
Good God. So like, plain and simple.
Yes.
Their
in
manifesto
words.
is right there.
It wasn't they said the quiet part out loud. It was
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
They built the quiet part into the loud part, and they made it part of their government.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that's 11. That was 11. So they enfranchised white people. They literally gave them rule of the place. They put in all white representation of parliament and took away any right of black people to sit in parliament.
So they're going to do taxation without representation, essentially.
Yeah. So 12, the Native Land Act prevents non-white people from buying land in certain areas. And by certain areas, I mean most of the country. The non-white people were literally being stuck into these small margins of the cities. 13, the Urban Areas Act introduced residential segregation.
Oh, God. Here come the ghettos.
14, the Color Bar Act prevented black mine workers from working in other fields. So basically, you will be relegated to this career your entire life until
the career that's going to kill you.
The career that will kill you. Yes, you cannot leave.
Probably sooner rather than later, with all the collapses guaranteed.
Was that 14?
I think... I don't know now. There's so many.
I think that was 14. Because we did 11... So, yeah, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so then 15, Native Administration Act made the British sovereign the ruler of South Africa instead of more local peoples.
Oh, yep. And this is Queen Victoria times, I think.
Yep. 16, the Native Land and Trust Act. Take 2, Electric Boogaloo. They built on Native Land Act from before, basically limiting even more of what you could actually live and how you could vote. So Representation of the Natives Act removed black voters. So this is 17. So then the Representation of Natives Act. They removed black voters from voter polls, and they allowed government to elect 3 white people for those areas.
Why?
Because. Asiatic Land Tenure Bill, I think that's 18?
Yeah.
That was the bill that banned land sales to Indians and descendants of Indian South Africans.
They banned what?
Land sales.
Oh.
To Indians and the descendants of Indian South Africans.
So they can only have the land the government gives them. And they're all probably stacked on top of each other.
Or they can't own land and they just have to rent.
Yeah.
And then there was the 1948 election.
Uh-oh.
Daniel Francois Malan was elected prime minister. And because he liked to go by DF, I'm going to call him Dirty Motherfucker Malan.
Got it.
Dirty Motherfucker Malan was elected prime minister, and what was already bad got so much worse. All of it.
I forgot it got worse.
Afrikaner nationalists created what was called the Sauer Commission. And because I couldn't at the time, having to write all of this out, I pulled this quote directly from Wikipedia here. It's a long quote, so bear with me. It called for a systemic effort to organize the relations, rights, and privileges of the races as officially defined through a series of parliamentary acts and administrative decrees. Segregation had thus far been pursued only in major matters such as separate schools and local society rather than law had been depended on to enforce most separation. It should now be extended to everything. The commission's goal was to completely remove blacks from areas designated for whites, including cities, with the exception of temporary migrant labor. Blacks would then be encouraged to create their own political units in land reserved for them. The party gave this policy a name: apartheid.
Mm-hmm.
Apartheid was to be the basic ideological and practical foundation of Afrikaner politics for the next quarter of a century. The National Party's election platform stressed that apartheid would preserve a market for white employment in which non-whites could not compete. On the issues of black urbanization, the regulation of non-white labor, influx control, social security, farm tariffs, and non-white taxation, the United Party's policy remained contradictory and confused. Its traditional bases of support not only took mutually exclusive positions, but found themselves increasingly at odds with each other. Smut's reluctance to consider South African foreign policy against the mounting tensions of the Cold War also stirred up discontent, while the nationalists promised to purge the state and public service of communist sympathizers.
The vermin that we hear about even today. We're going to drive them out. We're going to kill them. That's pretty much what we in America are starting to really see a lot of.
Isn't it sickening how familiar this all sounds?
It's scary.
The National Party leader separated people into 4 different racial groups: white, black, colored, and Indian. I don't understand why black and colored were 2 different things. I don't get it.
I'm wondering biracial.
I got probably something like that. They created black-only townships. They had the Prohibition of Marriages Act, the Population Registration Act, the Group Areas Act, and the Immorality Act that all came within the next 2 years, just by 1950.
They're like ramping it up hard.
Yeah. It got worse and worse, and people were dying and being beaten and abused and raped, and literally every bad thing you can possibly imagine in this type of society, it was happening and worse.
I can't think of anything that I couldn't remember learning during school that that happened. That happened.
Yep.
No one was safe. Everyone was vulnerable because they were like a complete police state.
Yeah. It was terrible. And this was the world that Miriam came of age in. Like this was all in her late teens as this happened.
I'd be singing in the church too. I'd be like, God, save me. Please keep me alive. I don't want to be stuck here.
I'm gonna sing in the choir so I
Amen.
can pray to the Lord.
Yeah. God, you are great. Please give me a knife.
Yeah.
To defend myself.
She said at one point in September in an interview in 1969, she said, "Sometimes it's better to laugh to keep from crying."
I understand that.
Her resilience, though, it has been shown already, and it just getting started. So her career really kicks off when she joins the Cuban Brothers as a singer. She was brought on by a member of the band who happened to be her cousin.
Mm-hmm.
They covered a lot of popular American songs, and at the age of 21, Miriam also joined the Manhattan Brothers, who sang South African songs, and more covers are of American songs, but this time they focused on African American artists.
Mm-hmm.
So they would focus on making sure that they're you get it.
Yeah, like Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I'm over-explaining. I don't need to be doing that. So she is with these guys when she produces her first big hit, which is called La Kuchen Langa, and we are going to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to play the first 30 seconds for you guys of her breakout song.
You gotta hear it.
La Kuchani Langa Zagubui Nkoma Ndakucinga ngawe La Kuchani Langa.
That's stunning.
Yeah. Her voice is fucking incredible.
Oh, it's like an angel on earth.
Yes.
Stunning.
Oh my God. The song blew up. I mean, she became famous for her objectively gorgeous voice throughout South Africa.
I see why.
During this time, she and her daughter lived in a place called Sophiatown. And Sophiatown was supposed to be a town for whites only. It was designed as such.
Mm-hmm.
There was something there's something going on with being able to smell sewage or being near sewage or something like that.
Okay.
I don't even think that they could smell it. I think it was just like it was something unsightly to be around, and basically it made it less than a desirable piece of land. So it was a cheap place to live.
Okay.
And it became kind of this diverse artist town.
Okay.
Diverse artist town.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I'm tripping over my words.
You're good.
Sophia Town was also known for their jazz scene.
Excellent.
In harmony, African jazz, Kwela, Marabi, and big bands all coexisted in a town where people were there for the art and culture.
Excellent. Giving Harlem vibes.
Totally Harlem vibes. In 1955, Miriam met Nelson Mandela for the first time.
Which is fascinating. So how'd she meet him?
He'd been making a name for himself in the country for his activism against apartheid, and I think they just ran into each other at an event.
Oh, that's cool.
So he would say later on that he knew even then she was destined for something bigger than what she was doing at that point.
She is a star, baby.
She's a star, baby. So in 1956, she forms an all-female group called the Skylarks.
All right.
At some point, they were also called the Sunbeams, but I think they're better known as the Skylarks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if that rolls off the tongue quite as much as
I don't
the other.
think so.
Not that the Skylarks is all that much better.
So, but they were good. They were really good at what they sounded great. And for a while, they were the most popular black singing band in the nation.
Oh, hell yeah.
So the group was known for their modern music. They were labeled real trendsetters with harmonization that hadn't really been heard before. That was a quote. I don't remember what from, though. She didn't really leave the Manhattan Brothers. She would sing with the Skylarks while the brothers were on tour.
Okay. So she'd
She still sang with both sets of people.
Yeah.
You know? Because she started getting famous for this La Kuchoni Langa song, it kind of expanded past South African borders.
Okay.
And so people started asking for an English version. They were like,
all right, she's
let's
getting
do a translation.
international.
Exactly. She's getting international now. So I will play that one.
Okay.
But for copyright purposes, just everyone go listen to her music right now. Just she's got albums on albums. We're going to talk about them. But this is basically it's kind of a mistranslation. So they translate it into English, but it kind of takes away this story of like this man who's going on this journey to find his lost loved one in hospitals and all these places, and in English it just makes it so much more boring. It's you tell such lovely lies with your lovely eyes or whatever.
Oh.
You tell such lovely lies with your two lovely eyes. When I leave your embrace, another takes my place.
It's just the kind of music I want to be like, just I have nothing to do today.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping in a hammock.
It's very much like a Sunday morning types vibes.
Yeah.
You have your little coffee and hang out in your reading chair on a rainy morning
I'm in
and
a
listen.
hammock in the trees, taking a snooze.
Oh, bitch, you ain't heard nothing yet. I also love the line of "the devil is a woman."
Yeah. I know. Well, because, that's what they all thought.
Everyone thinks that. People say, her quote, she says, "People, I sing politics, but what I sing is not politics, it is the truth." But why would English speakers want to hear about that kind of stuff? Why would they want to hear about sad things?
Yeah, they don't want to feel guilty.
No, it's fucked. So the English version is a smashing hit, obviously, and it hits not only the American radio stations, but it gets to the Billboard Top 100.
Good.
In America. And
That's
it's a
success,
huge
baby.
Yeah, dude, it's a huge deal for nobody from South Africa. So she starts making guest appearances on the African Jazz and Variety show.
All right.
She is still singing with the Skylarks and the Manhattan Brothers. The Manhattan Brothers were actually forbidden from singing in English.
Really? Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it was because at that point they were trying to make Afrikaans the national language.
I guess.
She was real busy. She even grew to more fame over the next couple years. She in 1959 she was in a South African production of a jazz opera called
a jazz opera.
Not just a jazz opera called King Kong.
Okay, interesting.
It's about a boxer who kills his sweetheart and he later dies in prison.
Oh, shit.
The musical, which was publicized as the jazz opera, it was a big success in South Africa, but in order to avoid the apartheid laws that divided the public, the musical was performed at universities instead of theaters. There were a lot of jazz big players in this movie.
Okay.
She was also in a movie, not like an action movie, but it was like a fictionalized documentary almost.
Oh. But it's not funny.
Not mockumentary.
Because it wasn't like comedy.
No, I think it's kind of a documentary. So it's a film called Come Back Africa.
Okay.
It's produced and directed by an American filmmaker, Lionel Ragosin. He was super secretive about the project because, quote, the film blended elements of documentary and fiction, and it had to be filmed in secret as the government was expected to be hostile to it.
I see.
End quote. Now, Makeba only sang 2 songs. Her appearance on the film lasted 4 minutes total.
Okay.
But the effect of her showing up on this film, and specifically being who she was and where she was from, she turned that film and her appearance in it into a much larger commentary than was intended.
Excellent.
Her presence has been described as crucial to the film as an emblem of cosmopolitan Black identity that also connected with working class Black people due to the dialogue being in Zulu.
All right. Making waves.
Lionel decided that for the Venice Film Festival, Miriam should get a visa and she should be able to travel to Italy for the premiere.
Makes sense.
It was a big deal. And it was. The film won the Critics' Choice Award, which was...
That's a big deal.
It's a big award. It's a very prestigious award, and it's from the oldest film festival in the world.
Yeah.
The Venice Film Festival is still considered a top 5 globally
you
today.
still hear about it in the news and everything.
So here's the upsetting side of this, though, is she goes to the film festival and all the attention that she gets, all the attention that the film gets from this eye-opening film was not lost on the government of South Africa.
Of course. They were like, look bad.
What the fuck is this? Yeah. So they were not happy with her involvement in such a shameful
Yeah. She made it a bigger deal.
She made basically nothing for the film, though. So she didn't really even get paid for it.
It's just exhausting to be like, and she didn't get paid, and she got nothing for it.
So, well,
she got framed.
This did build her to other things, though. So she got invites for paid gigs.
Okay.
She went to London for a few months, and then she went to America. So she was able to stay away from South Africa, at least for a little while.
Good.
1959 was a really big year for her.
She don't need them.
She don't need them.
But they need her.
So the international invites came. She went to London to perform. She stayed there for a few months. In that time, she met, married, and divorced another South African singer named Sunny Pillay.
72-day wedding?
Something like that, yeah.
Get a little annulment action. Every superstar does it.
Hey, Kim.
Yeah. A little bit of that. A little bit of the Britney Spears 55-hour marriage. They went to Vegas.
It was a whirlwind passion thing. And in that time, she also met another amazing singer who became her mentor and very longtime friend.
Okay.
Harry Belafonte.
We love Harry Belafonte.
Harry Belafonte.
Day-o.
Day-o. Daylight come and me one go home.
Yep.
Hey. Me said day, me said day, me said day.
Daylight come and me won't go home. All right.
Such a
I hope
good
nobody
singer.
sues us.
So he worked with her on recordings. He encouraged her to move to the U.S.
Yay!
He even helped her with her move to New York.
Yay! Good guy, Harry.
He really was. When she was trying to like get started in performing and stuff, she worked as a nanny and was a babysitter and stuff. But he helped her with like the logistics of actually getting her to perform.
Yeah.
And so on November 1st, 1959, she performed in Los Angeles on the Steve Miller Show for an audience of 60 million people.
Damn, that's a huge audience.
It was a pretty good kickstart for sure.
Yeah.
So soon after she performed in New York soon after that, she performed in New York for the likes of Duke Ellington and Miles Davis.
Duke Ellington, big legend,
People
bad guy.
whose albums she had listened to growing up. Now she's performing for them.
Yeah, that's incredible.
These are lifelong heroes, probably. She sang in Xhosa and Zulu, and her performances were critically acclaimed from coast to coast. She even learned how to sing in Yiddish.
Oh, fun. That'd be a fun performance.
Super fun. Elsewhere in the world.
Oh, that too. That works better.
So back in South Africa, back in her homeland, we're right in the midst of this big ramp up to the good old fashioned apartheid we all know and get sickened by,
Yes.
right?
Disgusted and vomiting.
Yes. So one of those big events was on March 21, 1960, in a town called Sharpeville.
Ooh, it's Sharpeville?
Sharpeville.
That sounds dangerous.
Sharpeville was a town that had opened up for colored people after another town had basically become way overcrowded. It was originally offered as like an alternative, an option, but around 1958, the overcrowding from the other town had gotten so bad that infectious diseases ran through the town like wildfire.
Oh, God.
So people were forcibly removed at that point and put over into Sharpeville. So the town had low employment, they had high crime, they had lots of gangs, they had really low education rates, and they had one police department.
God.
The infrastructure for order was long forgotten.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit about order in these places. They wanted to keep the other white people scared enough.
Well, this was a black town.
Yeah.
And
the government that set it up wanted to keep it that way.
Basically,
they didn't care.
And the only border between order and chaos was this one little police station.
The government's like, look, as soon as we don't intervene, all of that's coming into your neighborhood.
Yes.
And it's just like, dude, you started this.
So not only that, but the cops acted like it. They were like, they were like, we're the protection.
Yeah, we're the heroes.
They were encouraged to do a lot of pass checks. They were encouraged to do a lot of deportations and raids of shebeens, which is like a South African speakeasy. Mm-hmm. As this town got more crowded, the pass checks and pretty much every other type of law enforcement really ramped up on that racism, It was getting really fucking blatant, and African activist groups wanted to protest the over-enforcement of such pointless and arbitrary rules.
Yeah.
Remember, these passes were mandatory at this point for any black person in South Africa so that they could travel around the nation. So one group, which is called the African National Congress, they had this plan to go on a peaceful march to protest this. Yeah. But another group and their rival, the Pan-African Congress, or PAC, basically pulled an elementary school level dick measuring contest.
Oh.
Y'all go on your protest on 3/31. We can do it 10 days earlier.
Oh, okay.
So there's plenty of rumors about how they were coercive in their efforts to try and get people to come to these marches. There are plenty of rumors that the vast majority of the protesters showed up voluntarily. Okay. There's rumors and rumors of all sorts of different things for how we got to this many people. However it happened, though.
We got here.
On the 21st, 10,000 protesters showed up in front of the police station to protest.
Damn.
The aim was to peacefully protest. No protester was armed with anything more than rocks.
Oh, but rocks.
At the start of this, the police department had 20 officers inside.
Okay.
Soon, there were like 100 more, and planes who came into the area, and they were specifically flying down super low into the ground to try and break up the crowd. The tanks came in to keep the peace.
Yeah, because a tank knows how to keep peace. A tank says, calm down.
A tank says, we're calm, you calm too.
Yeah, we're fine. Are you
We're
fine?
not overreacting, you're overreacting.
Yeah, because protest screams, let's have a tank.
So all of these things happened and persisted, and it grew, and at this point, the count gets to about 20,000 people.
Wow.
In this protest.
Doubles in size.
Quote, Lieutenant Colonel Pinar, I don't know if that's how you'd pronounce his name, but I don't give a fuck.
Pinar,
he was the commanding officer of the police reinforcements at Sharpeville.
What a peener.
He was the one who said in his statement that, quote, the native mentality does not allow them to gather for a peaceful demonstration.
Oh, no.
For them to gather means violence.
Shut up. Wow.
Yeah.
That's this. Yep. That's the mindset.
Police used tear gas.
He really believed that stuff.
It didn't deter them.
Of course, because this shit's serious.
The protesters threw their rocks at planes and at officers in response.
Good arm on the one who could throw and hit a plane.
They were flying super low.
Oh, that's right.
So they were all able to be within reach. The officers used their batons. It didn't deter them. The crowd surged forward.
Yeah.
These officers, facing people angry at them, were terrified of being overpowered because they sure as fuck were outnumbered.
Yeah, well, good.
So basically at this point, there's one thing left to do. Quote, the shooting was more than the result of inexperienced and frightened police officers losing their nerve. End quote. It did have to do with their fright. The absolute disgusting racist slaughter of poor black people in their own fucking town was also about reminding them in no uncertain terms of who was actually in charge.
Well, I don't have much to say.
They started shooting, and they basically didn't stop. The police had rifles and submachine guns, and the protesters had rocks.
Mm-hmm.
69 people were killed that day, including 10 children.
Jesus.
Another 180 were injured, including 19 children.
Kids.
The backlash was immediate and wide-sweeping. Black people from all over the nation protested. They marched, they striked, they rioted.
Yeah.
By the 30th of March, a state of emergency had been called, and 18,000 people were detained. This included our old buddy, Nelson Mandela.
Oh, yeah.
And his other anti-apartheid activists, including some involved in an already prominent trial concerning apartheid, the treason trial.
Mm-hmm.
Many white people in the nation were disgusted and horrified, and internationally, the slaughter garnered tons of attention, inspiring protests and marches around the world. In 2 days, the UN Security Council had introduced and voted into effect Resolution 134, which basically recognized that the government organization of South Africa was designed so that shit like this would happen again and again, and it called for the abandonment of apartheid.
Mm-hmm. Just drop it. Drop it.
That's where we'll pick back up for part 2.
Okay, so UN is just going, South
this
African
is going to keep
government,
happening.
Drop it.
Yep.
Stop.
Drop it.
Drop it.
Drop the racism. Drop it.
Put it down. Give it to me. Put it in my
down.
hand. I'm going to throw this away. It's disgusting.
What is that in your mouth? Oh my God, is that apartheid? Give that. Give it here.
Oh,
give it.
It's slimy. Yeah. And
Any
we'll
pet
see if
owner
he
knows.
drops it. We'll see if the government drops it.
Spoiler alert.
I have a feeling no. We're
They don't.
So we have to start running around the house following them.
But we will talk about that more in part 2.
Part 2
of Miriam Makeba. Between this episode and next episode, I highly encourage everyone to go and listen to her discography. It is incredible. Her voice is soothing and mesmerizing, and
sent by God.
It does really just make you feel like you want to hang out and relax on a nice sunny day and do nothing.
Oh, for any listeners who were curious about Alabama white
Oh.
sauce, let me just put this back in here real quick.
From way the fuck back. Yes.
Thank you for listening to the end. Now you get to learn.
Now you get to learn.
So apparently it is a little bit like an aioli. It's a mayo base.
Oh God, I'm out.
Yeah. Okay. She's out with the first one.
I'm out.
You get
I don't
some-
like aioli because of
It
that.
has some vinegar because it's got to be like a sauce, brown mustard, brown sugar, horseradish, lemon juice, Worcestershire sauce, hot sauce, garlic powder, onion powder, cayenne pepper.
Oh my God, that sounds gross.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
That sounds like okay.
but I'll
take out,
try it.
Take out the mayo,
That's like
and
most of the
we're
sauce.
talking about a sauce. Like we're talking about a good barbecue sauce. Why would you ruin a perfectly good like setup for like a nice honey, like a nice like honey mustard barbecue sauce
Right.
when by putting something as disgusting as so much mayo in it? I don't get me wrong. I like mayo on like a BLT.
Yeah, on
I
a
like it on a
BLT.
sandwich.
A sandwich.
Don't make your sauces like
Like a
don't do
Yeah.
I'm not into aiolis and a barbecue sauce made of mayo.
Yeah, well, that's Alabama white sauce for you.
Because it also doesn't go well with ranch if I need to dip it, you know.
Well, the idea is you dip your wings in this.
Ugh.
Anyway, that's a fucking podcast.
And Alabama white sauce hatred, apparently.
Yeah, we have strong opinions on it, but for those of you who do enjoy it and continue to enjoy it, just
Have
don't
your
talk
strong
about it.
feelings about barbecue sauce. We don't care. Just
I'm
don't
a
talk
good
to us
old
about it.
fashioned Carolina mustard sauce. That's where I'm at.
Yup.
Yeah.
I make my own now.
Ooh.
That's really good.
Nice to know. For our socials, we are on Facebook, Well Behaved Women Podcast. We are on Instagram, Threads. Those are also at Well Behaved Women Podcast.
Yep.
We have a Twitter, but we don't use it because it's X.
Because fuck X.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not going to tell you that one, but email us. Email us topic suggestions. Just say hi.
Well-behaved women podcast
If
at
you
gmail.com.
hate us, you can send us hate mail.
All right. Well, we are going to let you go, and that's been a fucking podcast.
It's been a podcast.
Bye.